They are scared, like actual shaking, actual pale, actual lying awake at 3 in the morning, staring at the ceiling, wondering if the walls are closing in. And here's the thing that's gonna hit you the second I say it out loud. They just realized you are not who they thought you were, not even close. Whatever picture they built of you in their head, whatever little box they shoved you into so they could feel comfortable around you, that box just got obliterated. Yeah, their illusion of you died like this week, maybe even in the last few days. And now they are standing in the wreckage of it going, wait, who actually is this person? And the real you, the one that's been quietly waiting underneath all this time, that version of you is their worst nightmare. Because not because you are cruel, not because you're dangerous, but because you are real. And real has a way of ending illusions that people built their whole comfort around. They didn't fall in love with you. They fell in love with the version of you they could control. And now that control is gone, and they don't know what to do with their hands. So, if this found you today, I need you to sit with that for a second, because I don't think it's random that you are watching this right now. Okay, so let me set the scene for you, because I want you to actually feel this, not just hear it. Picture someone, could be one person, could be a handful of group in your orbit, and lately their stomach has been doing this weird drop thing every time your name comes up. Like that feeling right before an elevator moves, that little lurch. That's what's happening to them internally when they think about you now. Their face goes a little pale, their palms get a little damp, and it's not because you did anything to them directly, it's because something shifted, and they can feel it even if they cannot explain it. And that hot knowing is eating at them way more than if you just come out and said something. They thought they had you in box, but you were actually the one holding the matches. You didn't have to do anything dramatic. You just stopped playing alone. Here is what I'm picking up. This person has had some kind of experience with you, and maybe an experience of you that they genuinely cannot explain away with logic. Something happened where they looked at you, or they heard you say something, or they just felt your presence in a room, and it cracked something open. They walked away from that moment different, like they had left the interaction and had to go sit in their car for a minute before they drove anywhere. Just processing. And I keep getting this image. It's kind of intense, but I keep seeing something like fire and rebirth together, like whatever you've survived, and I mean whatever hell you've actually walked through in your life, it didn't burn you down. It changed what you're made of. You went in one thing and came out something sturdier, something that doesn't rattle at easy anymore. You were the beautiful wallpaper they used to cover their own cracked walls. But now the house is burning, and the wallpaper has peeled away to reveal a mirror. They are seeing themselves for the first time, and they don't like the reflection. They can feel that you are not fragile in the way they assumed you were. And that recalibration is terrifying for them, because it means everything they thought they understood about you, about how to treat you, how to read you, how to predict you, none of that works anymore. There is a dream thing happening too. And I want to talk about this because it's specific. Somebody in your life has been dreaming about you. Not cute little dreams either, vivid, uncomfortable, real dreams where they wake up in an actual sweet, heart-pounding, and for a second after they open their eyes, they swear they can still feel you in the room. Like your energy lingered there, and they are lying there afterward going, what was that? Why did that feel so real? And some of them are honestly a little afraid to fall back asleep because they know if they do, you will be right back with their waiting in their head. And the wildest part is the dream feels more real to them than actual waking life does, which messes with people in a way they don't know how to talk about, so they don't. They just carry it around quietly, wondering if they are losing it a little. Watching you succeed without them is the ultimate glitch in their matrix. Their brain is short-circuiting because the you they thought they knew was just a reflection of their own ego. And now that ego has to confront the truth. And then there is this eye contact thing. I keep seeing a moment, somebody sitting across from you, an ordinary conversation, nothing dramatic on the surface. And then they look you dead in the eye, and something catches them off guard. Not in a romantic way, not in a scary way, just they saw something they were not expecting. Like they looked in, expecting to see a person they already had figured out. And instead, they saw depth, distance, like looking up on a clear night and suddenly remembering how small you actually are compared to everything else out there. That kind of vertigo. And it rattled them, because up until that second, they thought they had you sized up. They are not scared of who you are. They are scared of what you are capable of doing without them. Yeah. Because they realized they'd only ever seen the surface. And there is so much more going on underneath that they have zero access to. Here's the part that really gets people through. You have this thing where you say something completely casual, almost throwaway, and it lands like you reached directly into someone's skull and read their private thoughts back to them. You're not trying to do this. You're not performing some trick. It just happens. You will make an observation or ask one simple question, and somebody across from you goes stiff, like because you just said the exact thing they were thinking privately. word by word, practically. And they never said it out loud to a single soul. And in that moment, they are not thinking, whoa, cool coincidence. They are thinking, how did they know that? How is that possible? Some of them get almost mad about it, if I'm honest, because it feels invasive even though you didn't mean it that way. You're just turned it. And you were not the villain in their story. You were just the person who stopped following their script. You pick up frequencies most people scroll right past. You always have. That's why, I guess. And there is a specific memory I keep getting pulled toward. A moment, maybe recent, where you said something offhand, didn't think twice about it, and it hit somebody like a truck. Struck a nerve you didn't even know was exposed. You were not trying to be cutting. You're not trying to be a cruel person, not even close. If anything, you are almost too honest for your own good, too blunt in a way that catches people off guard because they are used to be being managed, softened. They are used to be handled with gloves. And you just don't do that. You lay the truth flat on the table and let people deal with it however they are going to deal with it. And that particular moment, whatever it was, it's still sitting in someone's chest, like a splinter they cannot quite dig out. You're not difficult. You're just no longer convenient. That's the core of the frustration. You stopped being a soft landing spot and became a mirror. People walk away from you differently. That's the pattern here. They don't have a conversation with you feeling neutral. They leave either lit up or completely shaken, sometimes both at once. So some of them get quietly angry because you read something in them they were not ready to have read. Some of them have that what honestly sounds like a small awakening just from being here you for 20 minutes. It's like you have this ability, whether you've claimed it or not, to open a door for people that they then have to decide whether or not they are brave enough to walk through. You're not forcing anyone through it. You're just open it. What they do next is on them. The moment you stopped playing small, you became their biggest threat. You were not even trying to be intimidating. You just finally decided to exist without asking for permission. Now here is where it gets a little uncomfortable, but I think you need to hear it. Somebody out there is wondering if you're actually targeting them on purpose. Like deep down, quietly, they've had their thought, is this person doing this to me on purpose? They'd never say that out loud, not to you, not to anyone, because it sounds unhinged when you say it plainly. But there have been too many coincidences for them at this point, too many moments where you knew something you had absolutely no normal way of knowing. Too many times where you said something offhand months ago and it ended up coming true exactly the way you said it. And they have started keeping a mental tally, whether they admit it or not. And that tally has gotten long enough that it started to genuinely spook them. Their nightmare is simply the fact that you no longer need their approval to exist. You are a self-sustaining force, and that makes you unpredictable to them. And underneath the spook, there is guilt. I want to be really clear about this part because it's important. Somebody believes they crossed a line with you at some point. Maybe they underestimated you out loud. Maybe they said something dismissive about you behind your back that eventually got back around one way or another. Maybe they just plain hurt you and told themselves you'd never notice, or never care. And now that guilt is keeping them up, actually keeping them up, like staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., keeping them up. They are replaying old conversations, trying to figure out exactly what they said, when they said it, whether you caught it. They are checking the shadows in their own room, like something's gonna be standing there. It sounds dramatic when I say it like that, but that's genuinely the level of unease we're talking about. Your silence used to be their comfort. Now your silence is their punishment. Because now they know you saw everything. And your quietness isn't ignorance. It's a verdict. Here is something people miss about you constantly. And it might be the actual root of all of this. You notice everything. You notice everything. Every tiny shift in tone, every micro expression, every pattern that repeats itself over months. People assume you're distracted or checked out or not paying attention because you don't narrate your observations out loud. You just quietly file them away. And then one day, without warning, you will reference something from 3 months ago that proves you were tracking the whole time. And it completely destroys the story people had built about you, about being obvious, you being obvious. That's usually the exact moment their illusion cracks. They are looking for the old you, but that person doesn't live here anymore. They realize you are never going, you are never not paying attention. You are choosing when to speak and when to stay quiet. And that's a completely different kind of power than the clueless version of you they had convinced themselves existed. And I think that's really the whole thing right there. For a while, maybe a long while, you let people believe a smaller version of you. Maybe you downplayed things on purpose because it was easier or safer, or you just didn't feel like explaining yourself to people who were not going to get it anyway. Whatever the reason. You let the small version stand, and people got comfortable with the small version. They built entire relationships, entire assumptions, entire ways of treating you around that smaller, easier to handle version of who you are. They thought you were a supporting character in their life. You were actually the main event in your own. But lately, and I don't think this is a coincidence that you are watching this specific video right now, you have stopped performing small. You've just been yourself, plainly, without softening it for anyone's comfort. And that shift is exactly what's caused the illusion of collapse for the people around you. It's not that you changed overnight into something new. It's that you stopped hiding the thing that was always there. And that thing, once it's visible, is a lot to sit across from if you were not prepared for it. That's the whole nightmare, if we were being honest. Not that you became something scary. It's that the real you was always more than they bargained for. And now they cannot unsee it. They cannot. So let's talk about what happens on your end, because this isn't really about them anymore. Not really. You have power over your own growth. You have power over your own healing. You've been through things, real things, hard things, the kind of things that could have easily left you smaller, bitterer, closed off, and instead you came out the other side sturdier, warmer even, in a strange way, but with edges now that were not there before. Edges that don't apologize for existing. That combination is rare, and it's exactly why people cannot stop thinking about you, dreaming about you, replaying moments with you. You're not trying to be unforgettable. You are. Because you stop shrinking, stop performing, stop apologizing. And here is something I really want you to actually hear, not just skim past. You don't owe anyone a smaller version of yourself to make them comfortable again. The person who is scared right now, the one laying awake, repelling conversations, the one having those vivid, unsettling dreams, that fear is information for them to sit with, not a problem for you to fix by shrinking back down. You didn't do anything wrong by being fully yourself. You just stopped managing their comfort at the expense of your own truth. And that's allowed. Yeah, that's really, that's allowed. That's more than allowed, honestly. That's the whole point of everything you went through to get here. The illusion didn't just die. You killed it by simply standing in your own truth, in your truth. And you have every right to let it rot there. I keep getting this image of wings, actually. Big, strong ones, the kind built for getting through storms, not just for looking pretty. Warrior energy, but still soft where it counts. And the message attached to that image is pretty simple. Fly as high as you want. Don't let anyone clip you down to a size that made them comfortable, but made you smaller than you actually are. Stay exactly who you are, even when, especially when, that unsettles people who preferred the easier version of you. You were their safety net, but you turned into their wake-up call. They used to lean on you to hold up their reality, and now you've stepped aside and let them fall into their own truth. Some of you watching this are also gonna feel a pull to be a little more private right now, a little less social than usual. And I want to say clearly, that's fine. That's not you withdrawing in a bad way. That's you conserving energy while something inside you finishes settling into its new shape. Honor that if it's happening. There is no rush to explain yourself to anyone, and definitely no rush to perform normal for people who haven't caught up to who you actually are yet. And for the people who hurt you, who underestimated you, who told themselves you'd never notice or never mind. Some of them are quietly realizing right now that they didn't get away with it the way they thought they would. Not because anything bad is coming for them. No, nothing like that. But because the truth has this way of surfacing eventually, whether anyone forces it to or not. Situations that have been sitting quiet under the surface are going to come into the light soon. And when they do, you are going to understand a lot more clearly what was actually happening this whole time versus what you were told was happening. You will probably feel a strong pull towards cutting contact with at least one person once that clarity lands. And if that happens, trust it. Trust it. You don't need a dramatic confrontation to close that chapter. Sometimes you just quietly stop showing up. And that's the whole ending right there. They are terrified because the quiet one finally found their voice, and it sounds like thunder. And thunder doesn't ask for permission to roll in. Take care of what you're feeding. You are feeding what you are feeding your own mind right now too, because this is a sensitive window. If you are constantly surrounded by negativity, whether that's people or content or just the general noise you let into your head, it's easy to get pulled into that frequency without noticing. Clear a little space around yourself on purpose. Not because you are fragile, but because you are in the middle of something important and it deserves a clean environment to finish happening in. You are underneath all of this, a healer in your own right. Someone who has done real work on yourself, whether that's through quiet reflection, journaling, meditation, or just sheer stubborn will to not let the hard stuff win. Some of you listening to this have genuinely worked through things, trauma, anxiety, patterns that used to run your whole life, and came out the other side noticeable, lighter than you went in. That's not small. That's the actual foundation of everything else happening around you right now. People can feel groundedness. They just don't always know what they are feeling, so they call it intense or intimidating or scary, because those are easier words than admitting they are standing near someone who did the work. So here's where this actually lands, plainly, no dressing it up. Somebody's illusion of you died. It's genuinely died. This week, this month, whatever happened for you specifically. And what's replacing that illusion is the real thing, the version of you that survived what needed surviving and didn't come out smaller for it. That version is not for people who only ever wanted the easy, manageable version of you. It was always going to be a lot for them eventually. That's not a flaw in you. That's just what happens when someone finally stops hiding. You don't need to soften this. You don't need to explain yourself to the people who are scared. Let them sit in it. Let the discomfort be theirs to work through, not yours to smooth over. Your only job right now is to keep being exactly this: steady, honest, a little unpredictable in the best way, impossible to fully see coming. That's not something to apologize for. If anything, it's the whole reason you are standing here, stronger than whatever tried to take you down, and completely unwilling to make yourself smaller so just so somebody else's old idea of you can survive a little longer. Let the illusion stay dead. What's left standing after it is so much better anyway.